Hello, everybody. RadiantBlader here. I saw videos recently. I was talking about this quest here, the Enemy of My Enemy quest. It was Mylan Games' video talking about how he had not gotten the alternate ending. And I was honestly shocked. I was shocked that anybody couldn't had gone through this and not realized what was going on. Let alone him, because he was doing great work with the lore in the grimoire for the first game. So I decided, after seeing his video and seeing a whole bunch of things that he missed for that, to go through and talk about all the things that I noticed that he didn't, and that he didn't talk about, and talk about my personal little conspiracy theory about what is going on in this quest. Because as I feel most of the community is, I'm excited for Fallen Allies. I want Fallen Allies. I want there to be more Varixes. I feel like this is a good idea, and that there is a lot of potential to be had using the Fallen as a friendly faction instead of an enemy faction. So we're going to start with this room. So this is where we first find the captain. The captain that we essentially are tasked with finding and following and probably killing, is kind of the assumption. But what I really want to focus on is where we find him. We find him in the middle of a freaking hive nest. Those yellow sacks on the walls, yeah, those aren't for decoration. Those are egg sacs. So what are the Fallen doing in a hive nesting chamber? Why are they this deep into hive territory? And we will be getting into that more and more as we go on, culminating with the final the final fight between the captain and the hive knight in the last room. But for now, let's focus on what we're fighting as the Guardian. Right now, we're just fighting thralls. But this is a pretty key part here, is that enemies start spawning behind us. They start spawning in the areas that we came from and coming into this room. And this is important because it is a very key part of the fact that this is hive territory. And Fallen do not typically go into hive territory, because although the hive have also been, utterly decimated, thanks to us, as the Guardian, they are still much more powerful than the Fallen are on a 1-to-1 ratio. In other words, any one-on-one fight between a hive and a Fallen of, the same sort of caste, the same power level in terms of rank. Yeah, that's probably the best word for it. Same rank. So like Thrall versus Dreg, for example, or Thrall, or actually that would be Thrall versus Shank, actually, and Acolyte versus Dreg. The hive are almost always going to win in a one-on-one fight. The captain might stand a chance against one of the hive wizards by himself, but probably not, just because the hive wizard shoots more, basically. And we also realize here that the door has been locked. The Hive have locked us in here. So we know that they have systems control. And that's another key part here, is that the Hive have systems control over this section of the rig. That's going to be important later, so keep that in mind. Excuse me. I'm saying a lot because this is actually my second time recording this. For whatever reason, my audio software didn't properly record it the first time, and now my voice is kind of hoarse, and my thoughts are a little more scattered. But important part is, Hive have control over this section of the arcology, and it is very much their territory. And the Fallen typically aren't willing to go into Hive territory for much of anything. There was actually a mission back during Rise of Iron where Cade specifically says, like, this Hive don't just attack, or the Fallen don't just attack the Hive. They do it for, like, big resource grabs and, you know, maybe revenge, but they don't just go in and attack. Now, I say big resource grab because this methane reactor that we're supposed to be getting is a big deal. I'm not gonna argue that. It's a big deal. But I don't think it's a big enough deal for the Fallen to risk as many resources as they do on acquiring it. Now, for us, it's fine. We're effectively immortal, and there's a bunch of us. So we don't need to worry quite so much about the Hive. And also, we've already proven that we can completely obliterate the Hive through the fact that we killed Oryx. We literally murdered the king of the Taken and the Hive. We killed the biggest, baddest Hive dude there ever was. Literally the first Hive. So, the next important step is these two consoles that we have to activate. This one was guarded by Marauders, who have stealth. They are always using active camo. Now, why is that important? Because active camo does a very important thing. It makes you less obvious. Which, for someone who's supposed to be keeping people out, typically wouldn't be the biggest thing, I don't think. Especially since this one over here is being guarded by a bunch of Shanks, which are easily the weakest of the Fallen infantry, as long as you can hit them, obviously. So why, if we need to turn these two consoles on in order to activate the reactor console, not even the reactor itself, just the console to turn on the reactor and find it, why are they only being guarded with dregs and marauders? And why so few? This is another key part, because it gets into the captain himself, and, you know, where he comes from, and why he's doing what he does. Why he's doing what he's doing. Now, the NPCs, they don't get into this until later, but the NPCs think that the captain is using this methane reactor for ether, food, basically. And now, we don't have any exact numbers on what any given member of any of the factions actually need in order to survive. You know, we have no idea how much ether per day a dreg consumes. We have no measurement of what, if any, kind of food the Hive eat. We don't even know about the radiolaria that the Vex use. The Cabal presumably eat regular food. I mean, they have mouths. They have the most quote unquote normal physiology of the 4 alien factions. But we don't have any actual numbers. What we do have actual numbers of is, is these guys, the barrier servitors. Now, I counted, as I said, this is my second time recording this. There are, 8 barrier servitors? Yeah. So 7 or 8. 7 or 8 barrier servitors between us and the methane reactor by the time we get to it. We have killed 8 barrier servitors, okay? And again, we don't have any exact numbers, so I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty certain, one large servitor with a methane reactor is not going to make up for 8 smaller servitors. And so why would the captain come down here? Let's just assume for a moment that is the case. Okay, why would the captain come down here? Especially since he obviously needs to put up the barrier servitors. He knows we're after him now. He saw us just as we saw him in the control room. So he knows that we're chasing him. He knows that the only way to keep us from catching up to him is to put up these barrier servitors. Why continue with this? That at this point, if I was the captain and I was trying to get this methane reactor just to sustain my crew, I would be saying, yeah, okay, the Guardians have found out. The Guardians obliterated literally all of the fallen houses. And this one specifically, we as the player Guardian, we obliterated pretty much all of the fallen houses single-handedly. We took down, we took down House of Devils twice. We took down House of Wolves. Took down House of Winter. Took down, what was the other one? Oh, House of Exiles on the moon. That's right. House of Exiles is kind of just the leftovers from the other houses, but, you know, none of them had any chance. And, I mean, Battle of Twilight Gap is a perfect example. The Fallen cannot beat Guardians. There were, even without the House of Wolves, there were a lot more Fallen than there were Guardians at the Battle of the Twilight Gap. So, this particular captain, who, as we see in a moment once I'm done fiddling with the thralls here, this captain has the House of Kings colors, which means that he has at the very least, maybe not Battle of Twilight Gap, but he's definitely seen everything we've done. He knows about the House of Wolves. He knows about the House of Winter and the House of Devils. He knows everything that happened in all of those events. So, knowing that, why would he continue to risk his entire crew to fight us? Actually, not even risk, sacrifice. He knows that one little barrier servitor ain't going to be enough. There's no way that one barrier servitor is going to be able to fend off a Guardian. And here's the gold coloration I was talking about, which was attributed to House of Kings back in Destiny 1. They had all the cool golden gear. So, heck, he might have even known about when we came into... when we came into King's Watch. When we came into King's Watch and we fought the House of Wolves captains and the House of Kings captains. And we killed all of them. By ourselves. He knows. He has to know that he and his crew are no match for us. And he knows this for a very specific reason. This guy's name is Mithrax. And as with all of the named enemies in Destiny and Destiny 2, he has a title attached to that name. He is Mithrax the Forsaken. For anyone who doesn't know, Forsaken means to be abandoned or forgotten. And, even both. So, if he's forsaken, who is he forsaken by? My guess? The rest of the Fallen. I think this guy is an outcast, even among the other Fallen. And so he and his crew, the reason we're only dealing with one captain and his crew is because he doesn't have any backup. His crew is all he's got. He does not have anyone to call upon. He has no extra resources. He can't, call a friend. There is no who wants to be a millionaire rules here. You get nothing. There are no lifelines. There is no phone a friend. There is no 50-50. There's nothing. You get nothing. You have what you have at the start, and that's it. You can only go down from there. And he is making super risky plays. He's dealing with the Guardian from, all of the bad things that have happened to the Fallen up to this point, basically. He's dealing with the Hive, who, as I've already stated, while not as powerful as they used to be, are definitely still more powerful than the Fallen, and almost assuredly are more powerful than his single crew. And he is throwing barrier servitors, he's throwing troops, I forgot to talk about it while we were over there, but in that previous room, where the two ogres were, yeah, there was a spider tank in there too. He threw a spider tank at the Hive to get in here. Why? This thing has got to be far too deep into the arcology to be worth all of these resources. Just to hook it up to a servitor and use it for food? No, I cannot possibly believe through any logical means that one methane reactor is going to make that much of a difference. It's too much. There's too much at stake for him to be willing to spend all of these resources and sacrifice all of these people, because they are people, just for the sake of one methane reactor. Because the whole point of getting a methane reactor would be to ensure the survival of his crew. Well, his crew is currently being brutally murdered by both Thrall and Guardian. So, you're kind of being self-contradictory here. Now, here's where things start to get interesting. Now again, we have gone even deeper into the Hive Nest, and I want you to remember this particular space. So this is another one of the barriers, and you may notice it looks pretty much identical to the barriers that the other barrier servitors have put up. Like that barrier servitor right there, that's floating away. And as we know, when a barrier servitor is destroyed, the shield goes down. So I want you to remember that shield exists and that barrier servitor exists. Okay? Now as we continue forward, we continue to see a total and complete lack of sufficient defense mechanisms to stop the Guardian. This captain has lived through the absolute worst that we have thrown at the Fallen. He has to know that this is not enough. He has to know that this is barely going to slow us down, let alone stop us. So why is he doing it? if he's smart enough to have survived this long, he has to be smart enough to realize that this isn't going to work. That he's not going to be able to stop us or kill us or do anything more than slightly inconvenience us. Like, that is the best he can hope for at this point. And my theory is that that is exactly the case. He is simply hoping that all of these defenses buy him enough time. Because again, we go into this area, there's, what, four Vandals with snipers, and a bunch of Shanks, and then there's one servitor at the end of this room. Now, I'm not in the military. I don't know military strategy. Heck, I haven't even read Sun Tzu, okay? Because, honestly, it's just not that big a deal to me to know how to do war. But this strategy right here, A, is not currently succeeding, and B, never looked like it could. And I'm pretty sure that in universe that Captain is smarter about combat than I am, having, again, survived this long. He's still alive. Even through House of Wolves, even through Rise of Iron, dude's still here. So obviously, he knows something about not getting everybody killed. And yet that seems to be exactly what he's trying to do, is get everybody killed. And now, as we go in here, you may notice something. You may notice that all of the hive schmutz is gone. There's no more hive gunk all over the walls and floor and ceiling. And that's because this area was sealed off. There's actually, there was a door, or not a door, there's a force field earlier on that you can actually get to and explore in just patrol mode, and it is sealed normally. So obviously, the hive haven't been down here. At least not to any meaningful degree. So what are the hive doing down here now? Well, our new friend Selix the Obstructor here is another key to finding out what is happening in this quest. An obstructor is someone who obstructs, obviously. To obstruct means to slow down, or in some cases mitigate the effects of. So why is a big servitor with the name The Obstructor being dispatched to fight us? And again, the NPCs are assuming, oh, well, he's just going to use the methane reactor for food. He's just going to hook it up to a big servitor. Well, here's your big servitor, and it's called the Obstructor. This is not a being that is used for food. You don't earn the name the Obstructor by being really good at feeding your people. You get that name by being really good at slowing things down. Like, say, a guardian who's following you, and you don't want them to show up yet. So, here is the final room before we get to the encounter. We see that the hive stuff is back. So this area we were in was sealed off, and now it's not. This area that we've just entered has all sorts of hive goo everywhere. And this is important, because if we go back this way, we discover that there are more hive. And you see that shield? all the way in the distance? Yeah, I'm gonna get a closer look, so you won't be able to disbelieve this, but that is the same shield that went up the last time we saw the captain. And you may recall that there was a barrier servitor over here. Where's the barrier servitor? Answer: somewhere safe. Because that barrier servitor doesn't need to be destroyed now. We've found a different way through. We have followed the path that the captain has laid out for us. Because this fight right here is very important. This is where we learn the name of the captain, and we see a new player. Gorthix the Subtle. Gorthix? It's hard to read on this tiny screen. And then we have Mithrax, the Forsaken, who doesn't attack us. He just kind of does this weird salute thing, and then leaves. So, well, going off of the theory of the NPCs here, Sloan and Zavala and Ghost, why would you spend all of those resources, lose all of those troops, and then just give your prize away? You came down here to get this thing, and you've sacrificed pretty much everything you had to get it, and now you're just going to give it away? It makes no sense. Unless that was your plan in the first place. Get your tinfoil hats on, everybody. It's conspiracy time. So, now that we know the names of all of these players, of all of these characters, now that we know where we are going and what we are doing, let's go back. Let's go back to the beginning of this quest. In fact, let's go to before this quest starts. We know that the Hive had control over the systems in the area where the information about the methane reactor was being kept. Which means that at some point, one of them managed to get into the systems and find out everything that was in there. The Hive are not very good with technology. Up until this point, we haven't really seen them interact with any other technology. We've seen them, do their own stuff all over the place. But we've never seen them use Fallen Tech or Vex Tech or Cabal Tech. We've seen the Taken take Vex and, try to assimilate the Vex, overall consciousness. But the Hive themselves, as far as I can tell, are not very good at technological anything. But they had systems control. So, it is almost certain that they knew about that methane reactor. And we also know that they have tried to sink the arcology before. There was a ritual that we had to stop in which they were trying to sink the arcology. So, and we also know that the methane reactor, if handled improperly, could do the same thing. So here's what I think happened. Hive big shot, gets into the system, gets system control, finds out about this methane reactor, and goes, hey, look, we could use that. We don't need to do another ritual. We can just use that and just sink the whole thing. No one would ever see it coming. All we have to do is go find it. And so they send Gothrix the Subtle, who has earned his title, as all of the Hive have earned their titles. And he goes, hey Gothrix, you're good at doing sneaky things. I need you to go overload this methane reactor. And so Gothrix is like, yeah, sure, boss, I can do that. And he starts going down, and so Mithrax, the Forsaken, he's already been abandoned by the rest of the Fallen. He's got his crew, and that's it. That's all he has. And so he, as the highest ranking member of his little group of Fallen, now is responsible for all of their lives. He needs to find a way to ensure their survival. Now, here's another thing, and this is pure speculation, because we don't know. We don't know a very specific thing, and that is why Mithrax is forsaken. Why is he abandoned? Why is he kicked out of the other, out from the rest of the Fallen? Why is he the only crew we're dealing with? Sloan says that at the very beginning. We're dealing with one captain and his crew, and that's it. He doesn't have any backup. He can't call on the rest of the Fallen. It's him, his group of dudes, and that's it. That's all he's got. So, he is also a former member of the House of Kings, which means he knows about the Guardians. He knows about their power. He also knows about the House of Wolves, and that the House of Wolves was perfectly safe and happy in the Reef with the Queen until they betrayed her, and they were taken care of, and they had it pretty damn good, actually. The Guardians never came and killed them. Heck, Varix was still in the Reef. After the House of Wolves betrayed the Queen, Varix was still in the Reef, hanging out, helping Guardians. He was having a grand old time. And so Mithrax is going, hey, you know what? If maybe I could get that. Maybe I could get that deal. That looks like a pretty sweet deal. And so he finds out that Gothrix the Subtle is going down and going to sink the entire arcology, which is, for all intents and purposes, the main war base of the Guardians right now. He knows that Sloan and Zavala came to the arcology. He knows that they have pretty much their entire thing, their whole, forward base deal set up on the arcology. So he knows that this place is important to us, and so he goes, hey, the Hive are going to try to sink the arcology again. Maybe we should go put a stop to that. But he also knows that the Hive are more powerful than him. On a one-to-one basis, Hive are better than Fallen. He knows that. And he also knows he has no backup. Once again, it's him, his crew, and that's it. He can't call in for more reinforcements. He can't call in for more equipment. He's got nothing. He's got nothing in reserves. So he says, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go in. We're going to find out where this methane reactor is. We're going to find out everything we can about it from the same console that the Hive used. And while we're doing that, we're going to make a little mistake. And we're going to let the Guardians know what's going on with our mistake. And so he goes in, he gets his taps in, he gets his data out, and sure enough, he waits just a little bit longer. He's come in real sneaky. He's only got 2 Vandals with him. That's all he's got for his scouting party. It's him and his 2 Vandal buddies doing this data tap. And so he waits as long as he dares, and sure enough, guess who walks in the door? The Guardian. The big guy. The one who killed Skolas. The one who took down the entire Hive hierarchy. Champion of the Prison of Elders and big boss of the Archon's Forge. Mythox goes, yeah, this plan's gonna work. And he throws everything he has into this. He goes all in. He puts all of his chips into that pot. He is banking everything he has on this plan succeeding. And so he sets up a huge assault going into the Hive territory. He gets his spider walkers, he gets his servitors, he gets everything he can bring to bear
to get himself and 2 Vandals deep enough into Hive territory to make a nice little path, nice little trail of breadcrumbs for us to follow and get to the reactor console. And we reactivate the reactor, and he's got a nice little digital trap set up for the ghost, so that the ghost will teleport us into the holding cell and him and his 2 Vandal buddies out of the holding cell. Because remember, there are dregs fighting Thrall and Acolytes in that room. So he got ambushed, which means 99% certain he put himself in that little trap on purpose. He brought up those walls, he put himself and his 2 Vandal buddies in that cage on purpose. I'm 99% sure of that. And so he gets out and he just looks at us, and he knows. He knows at that point that we are going to follow him. We are going to be able to make it out. That we're going to have no trouble getting to that methane reactor. And he leaves and he deactivates the shield, which obviously he had control over the whole time. He could have left anytime he wanted. And so he leaves, and he lets the shield drop, and we go free. And we are now able to pursue him even further into Hive territory, deeper into the arcology. And we get down, and as expected, we obliterate everything in our path. But it does slow us down. And that is the key, is that we have been slowed down sufficiently that the captain has had time to get in and stop Gothrix the Subtle from being able to set off the methane reactor. This entire quest has been a stalling game for this captain. It's all been about stalling us as the Guardian long enough that he can get in and prove, without any shadow of a doubt, that he is trying to help us, while at the same time being able to move fast enough that he can stop the Hive from destroying everything. This is where his gamble goes one of 2 ways. Either it pays off and he gets the jackpot, and we kill the knight, but not him, and he just backs off, gives us the nice little salute, and then leaves. And just, he literally just says, "I have gotten you your methane reactor. Farewell." And we have the thing that we needed to make the arcology work at 100% efficiency. Because again, he knows what this thing is, he knows what it's used for, and he knows that we need it. He knows what's going on. Or, option 2, we as the Guardian completely ignore all of this, completely ignore all of the signs, all of the names, everything that's happening, and we kill him, and his gamble has left him broke and dead. Now, here's the part where I go into pretty much pure speculation. First is killing the captain. Now, I don't think we were actually supposed to have multiple endings for this quest. I think that the canonical ending is that we do not kill the captain. I think, and again, speculation, but I think that Bungie wanted to make the captain unkillable, to make him a friendly for our targeting systems. But for whatever reason, couldn't, so they had to program in an alternate ending where we kill the captain and nobody ever thinks twice about it. And this splits off, again, sort of, I say splits off again, but it's still the same two branches, more or less. I'm almost certain that we will be seeing this captain, or at least hearing about this captain again. Because either A, I am right, and this was supposed to be the canonical ending, that you spare the captain, and so we'll be seeing him again in a later DLC. Or, and I really hope this one isn't true, because if it is, I fear for all of the people who were oblivious and just murdered him without a second thought. The second option is that Bungie is keeping track of how many people killed or spared this captain. And whichever one happens more is what becomes canon. And that, I really hope that's not the case. I really hope that it was supposed to have just one ending, and that just wasn't an option, so they had to program in an alternate ending, and we're just going to have this captain be fine and alive later, and I really hope that's a thing. Alternatively, there could be a later quest that just is based off of whether or not you killed the captain. That I'd be fine with. But I really want the captain to just be canonically alive, please. I want this. Now, for the other part of pure speculation, the item we get for completing this quest is the Rat King's crew, which is to get the Rat King exotic sidearm. And I want to focus in on that name, Rat King's crew. Okay, and again, purely speculation. I could be dead or wrong about this. This could just be one big coincidence. Rats. What do you think about when you think about rats? You think about these things in the sewers that you kind of don't want to think about, that you just want to leave down there and never worry about and just forget about and abandon and maybe forsake. And we do know that from the gold coloration of his armor, that this particular fallen was a member of the House of Kings, and he is betting his entire crew on the outcome of this mission. So, again, speculation, but I think this is where Bungie is going with all of this. I think we have a captain who is looking at us and saying, if I can make friends with that person, I'm never going to have to worry about anything ever again. We're going to be living the high life. It's going to be amazing. We're going to have shelter, we're going to be safe, and we're never going to have to worry about ether again. It's going to be great. And honestly, I want that to be the case. I want this so badly. I've been wanting this since Destiny 1. Like, really early in Destiny 1, because in the Grimoire, there is actually an entry that appears to be of the Elixni homeworld before they became the Fallen, where they were just these amazing artisans, and they were doing great things, and then the Traveler showed up, and something happened, and they became what we see now. These almost pitiful scavengers, desperately clinging for anything that will keep them alive. And I want more fallen buddies. I want more Varexes. So that's all I've got now. That is the end of my input on this subject. If I missed anything, let me know. If you find something that is just blows this entire theory out of the water, let me know. I want to know about it. I want to know if I'm just being an idiot and I'm missing like one little piece that's just like, nope, none of this is real. You took the blue pill. I want to know. On the other hand, if you have scoured this entire mission and all of the lore pages and all of the grimoire and yada yada yada, and you have found nothing to contradict this, also tell me, because I am really excited about this. I really want more Fallen buddies. And, you know, the more people talking about this, the more people bringing it to Bungie's attention that we want Fallen allies, the better the chance we'll have of getting them. So, for now, thank you for watching, farewell, and don't forget to praise the sun.